Hi, this is Debbie, or Dealer4519 on YouTube. As I recall, I left off with the worst thing I've ever done in my life, and that was accidentally kill a mama cat and her babies because I wanted to play with them later, and I didn't want them to run off. Believe it or not, I love animals so much as an adult that memory haunts me, which I guess is why I can pull that from my 3-year-old mind, but I can't pull the answers to all of my other questions. So let me move on. Between the time I was 3 and 4, or I was 3 and or 4, we moved to a mobile home in Lake Station, Indiana, and there were kids everywhere, and the kids right across from us, across the street basically, they were within a few years of me. Vince was the oldest. I don't remember how old he was, because, you know, he was the oldest. And then there was Vicky. She was my age, I think, and her older brother Jeff, who might have been a year or so older than me. But really, it's hard to pull those memories. I haven't seen them in decades. But we played in the rain together, and we lived by sand dunes, so we played in the sand together, and we played King of the Hill and King of the Mountain and all those other games that kids love to play. And we figured out that there was a creek down, you know, maybe half a mile from us, so if we walked far enough we could collect tadpoles, and I wanted to get them, so I took a bucket and I collected them in my bucket, and then I left them in the bucket out in the yard. And in a few days my mom came in and she said, "I want you to come look at these tadpoles." Oh, I forgot. I said, I didn't mean to leave them out there. She said, "Come on, let's see what happened while you weren't looking." So we went out and we checked out the tadpoles, and believe it or not, they had grown legs. That was my first experience with any form of evolution, and what started off that could only swim and not breathe air could now breathe air and not swim very well, so we put a stick in the bucket and they could jump out, crawl up on the stick and then jump out, and that worked beautifully. But when that bucket of tadpoles was gone, I don't think I ever thought about doing it again. But I jumped ahead a little. God. So somewhere in the middle of it all here, I had asked my mom if she had wanted a boy or a girl when she was pregnant with me. I don't know why I asked. Maybe it was because of the neighbors and they were 2 boys and a girl. That could be. But she, in no uncertain terms, let me know that yes, she wanted a boy and not a girl. And I was like, wow, that's terrible that you didn't get what you wanted. And I was sort of upset by that, because I thought that you always got the sex of the child you wanted. Well, I was 4, so. But I asked her what would she have named me had I been a boy, and she said Jeffrey Allen, without stopping. Jeffrey Allen. That was quite a common name. I don't know if my neighbor boy Jeff's middle name was Allen. I never asked anybody, never came up. But it matters to the story that I tell you this part. And I said, well, why did you name me Debbie? She said, I didn't name you. What? She said, I didn't name you. I didn't have a girl's name picked out. I said, well, then who picked out my name? And she said, Marilyn. Really? So, at the time, keep in mind that I still thought she was my Aunt Marilyn. So I let that go. But I said, Mom, what were you going to name me once you knew I was a girl? What would you have named me? She said, probably Loretta Lynn. Ugh. That's important to the time period in which I grew up. But the last thing, well, some of you don't know, but some of you now need to know that this blonde isn't mine and this red hair is mine. You can't really see it real well, but it's red and it's mine. And the last thing I wanted to be, looking back now, was a red-headed little girl named after a country music singer, Loretta Lynn. But I'll go on. All of it made sense then, but you got to know it doesn't make sense now. And as I, turned 5 and I started school, I made friends in school. And this was really the first place I had friends that were my age, because I didn't have any friends when I was 0, 1, 2, 3. So it was like the greatest thing ever to have friends my age. The story gets harder to tell as I go on. I hope you'll bear with me. I'm going to call it all for right now. I'll try to finish it soon. Good night.